What's up, y'all? This is Brave, and I'm back to review Ready to Love Detroit. I know, I'm hella late. Y'all are already 4 episodes in, so we only gonna talk about episodes 3 and 4 in this review, because let's be honest, their mixer, it wasn't really giving too much, okay? I was over episode 1. I mean, I was glad that they did not send anybody home. However, for us to have to suffer through another mixer, the whole episode for episode 2, I was over it. But let's go ahead and get into episode 3. All right, so now we know that we have 18 people left, okay? 2 people went home. It was Diamond and Richie. I want to say his name was Richie. I was fine with both of them going home because nobody really gravitated towards them, right? Cool. Now, we have 18 people left. They're going to do this whole little skating rink situation. Of course, you have some people skating around and some conversations being had. Now, Nicole, she talked about how, she was super interested in Devon. And I was like, Devon? Y'all know this whole time since episodes 1 and 2, or at least episode 1, she was all into Ed, because she had already known him from the past. And I'm like, okay, great. I love the fact that she is not solely focused on trying to make something shake with Ed, and she's going to give some other guys a try. Now, another person that I saw Nicole have a good time with was Vince. So she was trying to do like this little skate trick where she like slid underneath his legs. Baby girl failed multiple times, okay? I don't think she ever did the trick right. However, I did like to see her, really show her personality, show that she can have fun, she can be silly. And I'm like, okay, cool. Because you have a person like Nicole who is willing to be silly. And I feel like Vince was definitely the person to be silly with, because he low-key a little goof troop, if you ask me. Versus somebody like a Emily. And this is no offense, but y'all know, Emily, she has no idea of what fun is. Okay, let's be honest. And honestly, I feel like there's a few people on this season who I'm just kind of like, do y'all know what fun is? But we'll talk about them a little bit later. The other thing that I wanted to point out that happened while this whole little skating thing was happening was Donna and Darius. Baby, Donna, she basically confronts Darius on some things that he didn't know he had anything to do with. And what I mean by that is, I think that he initially thought that they were just going to have a general nice conversation. Oh, but no. Miss Mamas has a whole bone to pick with him. Because according to her, they did not have a good first impression. Y'all, I feel like they did not run back a tape so that we can see them have like this bad interaction. Like, you would have thought they had like a little argument or something the first time that they met. But no. It's because she feels like he's doing too much. He's putting on a facade, and he's not really sure who he is. And her whole reasoning as to why she feels that way is because he's very flashy. Like, he's going to come drip down with, that Detroit style. He may wear, the sunglasses, the fur around the collar. He's just that type of dude, okay? He got the big fake chain. Sir, the chain is ridiculous. But nonetheless, he feels like, whoa, where's all this coming from? Like, you're prejudging me. You don't know anything about me. And Donna, you are prejudging him, because we didn't even see y'all have a conversation. Like, nothing in this says that you had a conversation with him and he was just talking that bullshit to you. Like, girl, you really are projecting. And I feel like maybe you have dealt with men like that in the past, but you ain't even giving him a shot. And also, another thing, what I want people who are ready to love, what they need to realize is that you ain't gotta like everybody on the cast. If you know that that's not the type of dude you don't like a flashy nigga, then baby, you don't have to entertain him. Like, nothing about this says that you need to entertain this man. Okay? Like, just stay in your corner and do what you do and date who you want to date. Like, this did not need to really be a conversation, if we want to be completely honest. But what threw me off is that she was like, yeah, because a couple of the other ladies, they feel the same way. What ladies? Because name them, baby. Name them. Because I've yet to hear any of the other ladies say anything about Darius. All of them was thirsting after Darius. Like, oh yeah, we like Darius. So I'm like, who have you talked to, Donna? Because I don't see that. But we're going to go ahead and move on, because Tommy ends up letting them know that the men will be deciding who goes home this week, right? Now, according to him, he said, listen, guys, don't only take out the women, or don't only talk to women that you're interested in. You can also explore everybody, right? So we have another conversation with Darius and Ashley, and baby, he talking about sucking toes. I said, whoa, baby. That's a bit much. But we learned a little bit more about him. He has a sister, and he has 4 children, okay? So then she questions if he feels like, since she doesn't have kids, that she doesn't know much about them. Like, do you actually prejudge women who don't have children and think that they have no type of, awareness or suggestions for you and them damn kids? And for me personally, I think it's absolutely ridiculous when people who have kids tell people who don't have kids, you can't have an opinion because you don't have kids, so you don't know what that's like, as if you've never been a child before, as if you've never had nieces, nephews, cousins, and you know what wrong is and what right is. Come on now, okay? Now, I can't lie, his response threw me for a fucking loop, because he said, I have no reservations, but once I put everything on the flow, I'm ready to go. Nigga, what? What are you talking? What does that even mean? Somebody explain that to me. What did that nigga mean when he said that? Because I was confused, okay? So after that, again, this is where he was just like, I don't know, throwing things at the wall, hoping that they stick. Because he's like, yeah, I can tell that you're such a passionate person. I think you probably like the most passionate person here. I said, what? How did we get there? Did they just completely chop the conversation? Because I don't know how half the shit he was saying made any sense in this conversation. We learned that she wants 2 to 3 kids. Girl, he already got 4. So you trying to have 6 to 7 kids? That's a bit crazy. But girl, I guess. Let's get to the dates. Let's really get into it. So, first date, it was Vince, Chris, Emily, and Nicole. Now, I will say I do like the fact that they have added the diary cam. That's really cool. But baby, Emily's diary literally said, this is before she even went out on the fucking date. She said, I'm hoping that I don't cuss Vince out. Baby, she don't like that man at all. Don't like him at all. She calls him rude, says he's inconsiderate. And I'm like, damn, y'all only met once. Do you know this nigga from before? What's going on here? And she starts off by saying that he owes her an apology. And, he says sorry to her. I don't even know why. Could they play that back? Y'all literally filmed them people for a whole damn episode, and we don't even know why she needed an apology. What is going on? They talk about tattoos, and who cares about that? Let's get to Vince and Emily. All right, so when they start this conversation, right, he's asking her about teaching students, because she teaches, I want to say, high school kids. And I can't lie, y'all, my number one question was, Emily, what the fuck you wear to work? Emily, I know you don't be having them titties sitting like that at your job. So whatever you wear to work, you should have wore it here. Because, girl, you doing a lot. Those things are huge. And I get it, it's giving bombshell sex appeal. But, girl, what else is going on? And it's crazy because on this season, y'all, the men ain't even checking for them titties like that. They kind of girl, put them things away. That's kind of crazy. Because you rarely will hear a man say that. Okay? But nonetheless, he's trying to ask her questions oh, what grade levels do you like to teach? She's like, I like to teach all of them. Everything is so monotone and boring with her ass. So he mentions how, he has kids and how his daughter's watching this documentary. And keep in mind, I want to say he said his child was 17 years old. So she's like, so you just let your children watch anything? The child is 17 years old. What the hell is he supposed to do? Watch him 24/7? I was with him when he's like, I can't be there 24/7 with my kid. And at the end of the day, at 17 years old, I think watching a documentary is absolutely fine. I mean, they're literally about to go away for college. So we learned that she actually has a 23-year-old, and she's trying to tell him that, when your daughter goes off to college, she's going to be busy and she's not going to be missing her parents. Here's the thing. Every child is different, okay? Every child is different. Your child can literally be the most, Mom, I can't wait to go to college. I can't wait to get away from you. I'm going to be having fun. I'm going to be doing all of this stuff. And then when they go away to college, they become extremely homesick. You know what I'm saying? You don't know how your child is going to be in college. But if he wants to have constant contact with his kid, hell, who am I to stop him? Okay? But this whole conversation was extremely awkward. And I'm just kind of like, this was not a match at all. However, on the other hand, we got Chris and Nicole, and they seem to be hitting it off. We learned that Chris has been married twice, and Nicole says that, you know, she's been yearning to be married. And I'm just like, okay, I can definitely see that for you. Like, something about her low-key gives me Princess Tiana. Maybe because she low-key reminds me of Anika Noni Rose. Or am I tripping? Moving on from there, Ed ends up taking Donna out on a solo date. I said yes for the solo date. And he's asking her about her 5-year plan. She wants to get her degree. She wants to be married. You know, she's trying to have her kids all within these 5 years. Because, baby, she's like, listen, I'm going to be in my 40s. Ain't nobody trying to have no kids past 45. Okay? And I can't blame her for that. Now, when asked about her religious background, she says that she's spiritual and she believes in being a good person. I just want to know in what ways is she spiritual? That's my only question, because she ain't Christian. And when it comes to her children for the future, you know, she doesn't mind them practicing whatever religion that they want to practice. Her husband can have whatever religion he wants to. However, there's no plan of her converting to, like, whatever faith her husband got. If he's Muslim, he Muslim over there. If he Christian, he Christian over there. And that's not going to work for Ed. I said, okay, cool. Let's go ahead and nip this in the bud. There's no plan for Ed and Donna to ever be together. I like that. Let's go ahead and start nipping this shit in the bud. So that way we don't have people going around like we have previous seasons being like, well, this person, they haven't talked to anybody. No, it's just that y'all don't align. If you don't align, let's not waste time, okay? Y'all, we got this date with Bello and Dominique. And y'all, I want him to go completely bald. That's the only thing I kept thinking during this entire date. Sir, just go completely bald. I promise it'll be okay. Now, one thing I will say, because as I'm thinking about men's hair, also, they have Beijing the fuck out of every man on this goddamn show. And I'm irritated because I'm just like, yo, how many boxes of that shit did y'all go through? I don't know if it come in a box, a bottle, I don't know. But listen, y'all have Beijing the fuck out of them. And it's doing a lot, okay? So, here's the thing. These two have chemistry. They really do. They talk about, you know, their backgrounds and how her dad was a pastor. You know, she's a prayer warrior. All the things. But here's the thing. She thought they was on the same page because usually, at least this is how I feel. Usually when people mention God, they are Christian. And if you are practicing the Muslim faith, you are usually saying Allah. Okay? This man was using the term God and she thought they was on the same page. But no, baby, he's Muslim. So then she's like, okay, well, what are your expectations? Because she's like, you know, you trying to get me to change what I'm aware or something like that? And he's like, no, I want you exactly how you are. You know, we can teach each other all these things, right? So then she ends up questioning him, you know, how he feels about having kids. And he does want kids. I think Dominique already has kids, if I'm not mistaken. And yes, she does. And she's like, okay, well, how do you feel about a surrogate? And he's cool with it, right? But he does say he needs to have a son, right? So we learned a little bit more about Dominique, and she says that she had 2 miscarriages, and she doesn't think that she can carry any more children. And also, y'all, she's in her 40s, okay? Like, I understand that there are women that are having children later in life, and that's absolutely beautiful. But sometimes I want us to be realistic and be like, yo, I done hit my 40s. Like, do I really think I need to be carrying this baby? Like, be so for real. One thing I will say is that Bello, he has eyes for Dominique. He is really into her. She is really into him. I mean, considering this was their first date, and for her to be open like that about her miscarriages, that's kind of big. But I also love the fact that we got these conversations out the way. We talking about religion. We're talking about, do you want kids? Because again, we have seen this show far too many times and seen people waste time. Let's not do that, okay? On the next day, I want to say it was Cardi Xavier, Devon, Ashante, Shannon, and Ashley. They went like go-kart racing or whatever. Devon, he's talking to Shannon. They like trivia and Harry Potter. And I said, no offense, but both of y'all seem like y'all grew up in white spaces. And that's no offense at all. But I just feel like they seem like they had a decent upbringing and grew up in white spaces. I'm just going to leave that where it's at. But when I get to episode 4, I'm going to have something to say about Devon. Okay, so Cardi and Ashley, they talk, and she's really interested in him. Baby, when I tell y'all, I am so proud of Cardi, because that first episode, I thought he was going home, because he had the biggest jitters. Like, he couldn't he could not converse with anybody. Like, he was struggling, and I'm just kind of like, damn, I feel bad for the man. Like, what is going on? But since that second mixer, he's been, really putting himself out there, having conversations with the ladies. Like, I love that. Okay, let's go ahead and get to this men's lounge, right? Okay, so we already know everybody's kind of feeling everybody, right? However, the person who they don't like, okay? Because when they named Emily, right, I already knew that was coming. However, what got me was the fact that you had, I want to say it was Bello, who I thought initially was interested in her. Bello, Xavier, and Vince all saying that they did not care for her. Like, and then they mentioned that she was hypersexual. Now, I don't think that she's hypersexual per se. I just think that the boobs are out a lot, okay? And like, for these 3 guys to be like, yo, she leads with her breasts, but there's no personality, they're really like a shield. Yeah, they're definitely giving shield, okay? That I can agree on, okay? Now, Chris and Ed, they said that they were not feeling Donna. And of course, Darius, he ain't feeling her because she prejudged him. So we have Steven, he talked to Donna, and he brings up, the whole judgmental stuff. And she thinks that she was right in the way she talked to Darius. She still stands on the fact that that's how she felt. Baby, one thing about Donna, what I've learned within these past 2 episodes, she's going to stand on how she feels. And you know what? Even if she loud and wrong, I can't knock that shit, because at least she's not going to backpedal. Okay? Yeah, I do think that she needs to be more apologetic, but we're going to get to that. So, she's sticking around. But then we had Emily, she talked to Chris, and what's crazy is that she put her boobs away. I said, girl, see, you need to show up like this. Put a full outfit on, girl. And again, I'm still wondering, girl, what did you used to wear to work? What did she be wearing to work, y'all? So she's asking him, like, okay, well, can you give me some feedback? Like, what do you think I could do better? And he basically tells her that, a couple of the guys thought that she had a wall up, but she feels like the men were trying to control the conversation. They wouldn't let her talk. And I'm like, well, here's the thing. When that conversation happened between her and Vince, I think both of them like to control the conversation. So it was definitely a battle of, I'm right in this. Oh, that's another thing. They both have to be right, because we are going to get there in episode 4. But I just kind of feel like, girl, your man was not here. And also, you did have a wall up, and this just wasn't the space. So, Emily, you had to go home. Now, let's go ahead and slide on over to episode 4. Baby, the ladies, they have control this week, and the task is to take these guys to a place that means the most to them. The most to them. Did them girls do that? Absolutely not. Some of them did it, but baby, not everybody, okay? So the first date that we see is actually going to be Dominique. She invites Bello, Devon, Chris, and Christina over to her house, right? She had a nice little place or whatever. And here's the thing. I cannot stand when there's a date of 5 people. Like, I just feel like, why is there not a 6th person there? Why is it not an even number there? It doesn't make any sense, because when you have 2 people coupled off in one place and then another 2 people coupled off somewhere else, what is that 5th person doing? I just want to know. Nonetheless, when Bello comes in, baby, they kiss. And I said, oh, okay. Y'all kissing and taking shots together? Oh, baby, you like him for real, for real. Okay, girl. Like, I'm honestly surprised that she has let her guard down that much with this man, considering when Devon tried to kiss her, oh, she was like, back the hell up off me. Okay? When they were at that mixer, she did not want to kiss that man. And I completely understand. We just met. So, besides that, y'all, we learned that Bello has a connection with Christina. I would have never guessed that, because we never saw them talk to each other. Now, one thing I wanted to point out was that I don't like Devon's shirt at all. But Devon, he's like peeping Dominique. He's like, oh yeah, like she's well-rounded because, you know, she can dress well, she can cook, she got a nice place. Baby girl got things going on. And let me mention something that confused me, y'all. The fact that Chris said that Christina was his strongest connection. I said, Christina? Like, I know she walking around sniffing you like a dog, looking for treats, but I did not think that they had that strong of a connection, because I still give her a side eye the way that she tried to low-key diss Diamond when Diamond was talking to Chris, and she like walked up and wanted to and pull him away, and she's like, you know what, I'm talking to him right now. But then in her confessional, Christina was like, yeah, take the time that you need, girl. The thing about Christina, baby, she really thinks that she's that motherfucking girl, and she is not. Because I'm about to get into her ass in a second, okay? So, like I said, according to Chris, this is his strongest connection, and they talk about growing up and how they both had to kind of grow into their looks, right? Okay, fine. But then we slide on over to Devon. Y'all, when I tell you he's pouring it on thick with Dominique, baby, he wants to jump her bones. He wants to actually, like, bang her body out. Okay? But here's my thing. Devin is a total different nigga when he's in Dominique's face versus when he's with Nicole. When he's in front of, like, who else did he go out on a date with? It was somebody else. But it's definitely not giving the same energy. Baby, he keeps things PG when it comes to Nicole. I think it was Shannon as well. When it's those two ladies, baby, that man is a nerd. And that's not a bad thing. He like Harry Potter and trivia. But baby, when it come to Dominique, he turned to a whole nother nigga. I said, now what is going on here? Is nobody else noticing this? This is kind of crazy. But nonetheless, he's actually met her mom on FaceTime or whatever. And when it comes to kids, of course, she opens up this conversation like, hey, I may not be able to have any more kids. Are you open to adopting? Now, keep in mind, she did not ask Bello if he was open to adopting. However, he says that he doesn't mind. Okay, he don't mind adopting no kids. Bello has this conversation with Christina. And baby, when I tell you, I was like, what the fuck is going on here? Y'all, this girl says that, okay, they've had like, you know, some phone conversations, right? But to me, she's giving very possessive because she feels very intimidated by the connection that he has with Dominique. Because this whole scene, I'm like, girl, you doing way too fucking much for a nigga that you barely met, okay? So, according to her, she's like, you know, if he likes me or whatever, he needs to spend some money. He needs to pay for some stuff for her. And according to her, she mentioned how like, oh my God, I need a massage or whatever. And she's like, yeah, and I told this to 3 different guys. And I'm just like, girl, so now you begging for change? Like, what type of shit is this? Like, and I know there's a lot of rhetoric going on online about how if a man's interested, if he wants to, he will, and all that little catchy shit. But like, girl, you just met this nigga. Also, you so thirsty for a nigga to pay for shit for you, you better watch them niggas that actually spend money on you like that. Because it could come with some shit that you don't want to do. So you might want to watch yourself, Christina. Okay? So, according to her, one of the dudes, he basically said that he ain't got it like that right now. That's the first one. The second one sent her $150 or something like that. Or he sent her like some money to put onto this massage. And when it came to Bello, baby, that nigga saw that damn message and ignored it. And then later texted and said, oh, damn, I didn't even see this. I was cracking up at that because I'm like, I don't blame him. Bitch, is you okay? If I was him, I probably would have been like, yeah, okay, this is over. Like, straight up, this is over. Girl, you're giving user. You are giving an absolute user. Keep in mind, this is the same girl who talks about she got to be VIP everywhere she go. Girl, you're not that important. Also, isn't she supposed to be a singer? We ain't heard her sing nowhere. So, girl, what's your day job for real? What are you doing for money? Oh, right, you're trying to get money out of niggas. So, I'm so over her at this point. Like, I'm ready for her to go home. Because I feel like she's trying to perpetuate this whole thing about her being that girl. But really, she's not. She's just not that girl. So, moving on from there, we actually get to another date. And it is Devon and Nicole. They have this sports date. Again, Tommy said to take them to a place where you love or you like to be the most. Girl, it was not this. They over there playing croquet. I'm like, girl, I know you don't play this on a regular. But nonetheless, these two, they have a lot in common. They do have some chemistry. And again, y'all, he's a total different man when it comes to when he's with Nicole versus when he's with Dominique. And I'm like, so which one are you being your true self with? That's my question. Is it with Nicole, where you're being a little nerdy, a little bit more goofy? Or is it with Dominique, where, you know what I mean, you over trying to do some adult things? Let me know which one is really you, sir. So, moving on from there, because nothing really happened with their date. We move over to Shannon and Darius, Xavier, and Donna. And again, these uneven dates piss me off, okay? Now, I believe they met at Shannon's place or whatever, and she asked for everybody to bring a personal item of theirs, and then they're going to talk about it. Now, y'all, everybody brought a personal item, and I mean, it got a bit deep, okay? The only one who brought something that I just gave a side eye to was Shannon, because it was her house, and I said, baby, did you really bring this chart, a birthing chart, so that we can see how wide a woman's cervix opens when she about to deliver a baby? Girl, what? Like, y'all, I'm sorry, but she could have brought a picture of her grandma. She could have brought anything else. Matter of fact, she could have looked around the room at her house and was like, yeah, maybe not pick up that. Let me pick something else up. Girl, what was that? But nonetheless, like I said, everybody brought something that meant something to them. Darius, he actually got emotional because he brought a dress that his mom actually made for his daughter when she was born. And unfortunately, his mom is no longer here. And he goes on to talk about how, you know, he got his sense of style from his mom. And that's where he found his love of clothes. Like, all these real sentimental things. And I'm like, okay, he just expressed this, right? And Donna, I'm like, girl, you sitting right here in his face. You were the main one who was like, oh, this is all a facade, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, maybe this is really this guy. And even in her confessional, she's saying how, like, oh, you know, I'm seeing a different side of him. Why the fuck didn't we get a conversation between those two? You mean to tell me these people are sitting up in this damn tiny-ass apartment? No offense to that girl, but they are sitting in this apartment. And camera crew, y'all never got a conversation between these two where she can be like, damn it, you know what? I kind of came on a little too strong when I was talking about your style and how you carry yourself. But now I see it has a whole nother connection when you brought in the story about your mom. Like, I thought that was going to happen, but maybe it didn't. Hell, Donna, she stand on what the fuck she say. So maybe she never said that to him. That could also be a thing. So we do see her have a conversation with Xavier, though. Baby, Donna is trying to ask this man questions. And what she got from it is that man is moving slow in this process. Now, Shannon is talking to Ed, and I feel like the real her kind of came out a little bit. Like, when she was telling him, like, oh, you know, something about this being a group date. And, no, I think he said something about it being a group date. And then her response was, yeah, I'm trying to make it a one-on-one. I said, well, hold on, baby. Because the way she said that, I said, Shannon, which one is the real you, boo? Y'all, I'm sorry, but maybe it's that these people who have these quirks about them, like her and Devin, like, baby, there's a whole nother side of them, okay? Now, moving on from that though, she's feeling him, okay? They're talking about all these positive things and how his hands can do all kind of things. Baby, they can cook, they can box, and they can reach out and touch somebody's hands. Because please know, at one point they were holding hands. I said, oh, okay, y'all. But that was pretty much that date. Let me go ahead and move on because we got to see Ashanti. She she invites some people to a cooking class, right? We got her, Cardi, Vince, and what was that girl's name? I think her name is Lauren, okay? They go to this damn cooking class, and y'all, I'm so confused. What's the name of this show? Ready to Love? Y'all got to do better with these people occupations. Because Ashley, I've heard her mention 3 different jobs that she got. Ashanti now is a private chef, even though I could have swore she was like a hairstylist that had her own salon suite. And it's somebody else who had like job changes. And I'm like, hold the fuck up. What is their actual job? I'm confused. But nonetheless, Lauren and Cardi, they hit it off, okay? When it came to them actually having conversation, to me, I appreciate the fact that Lauren knows herself, and she mentioned something that I think a lot of women need to start focusing on, because they were talking about what they want to do in life, right? And Cardi's like, he still wants to get his pilot license. He still wants to do all these things. But, you know, when it came to him having his kids, he kind of like put that in the forefront, right? And Lauren, she's like, yeah, well, you know, I'm exactly where I want to be. I'm doing what I want to do. And according to her, she's the type of person that did not get stuck on being a mom. Like, being a mom did not become her whole personality. She had things going on outside of being a mom. And I said, you know what? I really do love that, because a lot of times as women, which is kind of been ingrained in us, that like, once you become a mom, like, everything's about your kid. And it's like, yeah, but also at the same time, don't forget about yourself and what you want to do for your life. You know what I'm saying? And also when Cardi mentioned how, you know, having kids kind of like slowed him down on the things that he wanted to achieve. Y'all, I gotta be completely honest. I know that once you have a kid, everything becomes about that kid. But I do think that sometimes we do need to acknowledge the fact that, you know, parents really do put their lives on hold. And I get it, the kids, they didn't ask to be here and all that bullshit. But like, in the grand scheme of life, the way society is set up, you're not allowed to really continue following your dreams and raise a kid. Like, something is going to have to take a back burner. And that's the fucked up thing about life, is that either the kids are going to suffer at some point, or the parent is going to suffer at some point, because somebody is not going to be satisfied all the time. You know what I'm saying? But, I mean, hey, I guess that's what comes with being a parent. You got to make the right choices. You know what I mean? But back to Lauren and Cardi. Like I said, Cardi's doing quite well in this show at this point. He's bringing good conversations. The ladies are feeling him. And he likes her as well, okay? But, baby, when I tell you Vince, baby, a special type of woman got to deal with you. And y'all, I am not saying this to be mean or anything like that. But the thing is that he's goofy, okay? And every woman does not like a goofy man. Because when they were chopping the stuff up, the food up or whatever, and he kept saying sharp, I was annoyed as well. Because it's like, okay, the first 2 times we gonna giggle. But baby, by the time you hit that third, I'm over it. But also, I'm giving the goddamn chef a side eye, because I'm like, why the fuck did you tell them that they have to say sharp every time they using a knife and you got them chopping shit? Girl, what are we doing here, okay? But nonetheless, we get to this conversation between Ashanti and Vince, right? Now, Vince ends up asking her, what should he work on? And she brings up this conversation that they had basically about going 50-50 in a relationship, right? Now, according to him, he's saying that if he brings $150,000 to the table, right? And she don't have to work, like he's taking care of everything, then, you know, everything's cool. However, if she wants to go above that, then she would have to actually work. And Either that or she has to pour into his company or something like that. Either way, he just kind of feel like he's not going to go the extra mile. And I'm kind of paraphrasing this, but he's not about to go the extra mile and be the only one working just to bring home the bacon. Okay? He wants the relationship to be not so much 50-50, it don't sound like, but everybody got to pull some type of weight. At least that's what I gathered, okay? Now, here's the thing. All he did was repeat what he said in the previous scene. However, baby, it's the way that you talk to people. So, the way he questioned her to be like, so do you understand what I said now? I said, hold on. Because you did something similar when you had that conversation with Emily, to where you had to be right. Like, well, my daughter, she's going to miss me when she goes to college. Like, there's no questioning that. Like, baby, bring it down a little bit. I just kind of feel like he gets very combative. And, baby, nobody has time to argue. But also at the same time, Ashante, what he said wasn't even that bad. Like, him just saying, like, okay, if I'm bringing this amount of money to the table and my wife don't gotta work, like, that should be okay. I mean, unless if she wants more money, then she gonna have to pull a little bit of weight. Okay, I don't see anything wrong with that. Maybe I'm tripping. Or maybe I misunderstood. Y'all let me know in the comments. Okay? But yeah, she was over it. Ashante was over it. She has no interest in Vince at this point. And it's just like, you know what? Like I said, maybe he needs somebody like Nicole. If we're going to keep Vince on the show, let me see a date with him and Nicole, because they were having a good time at the skating rink. Maybe that's someone who's more his speed rather than somebody like Lauren or Ashante. Okay? Because those two women, to me, are just, they're very different than somebody like a Nicole or Shannon. That's all I'm going to say. So, moving on from there, Ashley has this date with Ed, and she invites him to meet her dog. I'm like, okay, girl, because this whole date, your dog was running around the park. So, I don't understand how that was so important, but you know what? Whatever. So, she thinks that he's her type. However, she wants to see if their personalities are compatible. And he lets us all know that he got married to his high school sweetheart. But, of course, they outgrew each other. And she basically wants him to communicate that he is interested in her. Baby, if he is interested, let me sound like the girls. If he wants to, he would. Or however y'all phrase that. And I don't know what you're doing, but baby, the ladies are not waiting around for them to chase after you. You're going to have to put in some effort to show these ladies that you're interested in them, okay? So get it together, baby. Get it together. Because Ashley is beautiful. She really is. She's one of the prettiest girls on this season, if we want to be completely honest. And there's a lot of really, really pretty girls on this season, for real. So, moving on from there, we get Ashante and Steven. Y'all, I kind of like them together. They real cute. So, they do like this like tie-dye date or whatever. And he tells her that, she reminds him of the girls from, like, back home. Like, wherever he's from. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's just somewhere else in Detroit or somewhere else in Michigan. But he's like, yeah, you remind me of my homegirls, like the girls I grew up with. And honestly, y'all, I love the fact that he told her that and still wants to date her. This was not a friend zoning moment. Because usually whenever a guy, he's talking to a girl, she reminds him of like his homegirls, they automatically friend zone. It's like, oh no, you're giving homie vibes. But no. Like, she just feels like something that he's connected to, like something that's familiar. So, I'm like, okay, cool, I like that. Y'all, Steven is cute, but he gotta stop wearing them damn glasses. I'm just not a fan of him. Like, I feel like I've seen him wear them a few episodes, and I'm not a fan. But, nonetheless, Steven goes on to talk about the things that he wants in a partner. And he's like, he does want to be married. He really wants a wife. And it sounds like he wants kids, but baby, that cannot be her personality, okay? He wants her to have her own things going on outside of just being a mom. And I'm like, yes, thank you. Because there's a lot of men who really just be wanting women to be laid up at the house pregnant. Like, and not being that girl. Like, you wanted her because she was that girl, and then y'all want to knock her down a few notches when they with you. That's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. Okay? Now, the thing about Ashante is that she's saying what everybody loves to say, and that is that she wants to travel. Baby, everybody wants to travel. What else is going on? Like, I'm sorry, but I feel like that is such a common thing to say nowadays that I'm just, like, not really interested. Like, whenever somebody's like, I want to travel, I want to see the world, I'm like, okay, we know that. What else is going on? Okay? Now, I do respect that she wants to share experiences with this person, but let's work on that conversation, y'all. Now here's the thing. He finally asked her for her phone number, right? And I said, well, how y'all set this date up, baby? Was it production? Because it's just y'all two here. But nonetheless, she likes him, he likes her, okay? We get to the lounge. Y'all, I feel like Tommy is wearing gray every time I see him, okay? Maybe I'm tripping. But Ashante, she is feeling Steven and Cardi. Lauren likes Cardi. Nicole likes Devon. Shannon and Ashley, they like Ed. Ashley likes Darius. And she thinks Ed can open up a little bit more. Dominique, she is so into Bello at this point. But let's talk about who they don't like. Vince, baby, according to Christina, he called the ladies bitches. I said, whoa, what the hell? So Tommy, he is not here for it at all. And the craziest shit to me is that Lauren is like, well, hold on, because, this is kind of like some hearsay, because it does sound like it's hearsay. It sounds like he was on the phone. To me, it sounded like he was on the phone with somebody and he called somebody a bitch. He called somebody the B word, okay? And the crazy part is that he was talking about Lauren. I said, damn it, man. Not this man calling her out her name. Is she the one who trying to stick up for him? That's crazy work. But how many times does that happen, y'all? And I don't mean as far as the man calling a woman out of her name. But how many times is it that the woman that's trying to stick up for them is the one that they be dogging out on this damn show? It happens all the time, okay? So, here comes Christina, y'all. When I tell you, I'm just like, girl, you should have kept this shit to yourself. She goes on to tell her story about wanting to go to get a massage and go to the spa. And she names names, y'all, because what's his name? Tommy. He said, oh, wait, you asked 3 dudes about getting a massage. Well, who'd you ask? Because the thing is, she started off just saying three dates. And I'm like, well, hold on. Was it 3 niggas from the show or what's going on here? Oh, baby. So Chris was the one who said that he ain't got it right now. I said, hold on, baby. Chris, is your money funny or you just didn't want to give it to her? Let us know, baby. Devon was the one who sent the fucking money. I said, okay, that sounds on brand. I'm not trying to be mean, but I think he needs to stick to the nerdy girls. He needs to stick to the Shannons and the Nicoles of the world. I think that is more on brand for him, okay? I don't think they're going to be asking you to drop money and you don't even, go out on dates with them. Then she goes on to mention Bello and how he didn't see no money. And Dominique feels like all of this is tacky. And I completely agree. Because I'm just like, girl, you told this story for what? These girls barely know these men. And you sound ridiculous right now. Okay? I feel like just off GP, she should have went home. Okay? So, who's the other guy they don't like? Xavier. They don't like Xavier because he moving too slow and he act old. Okay? We get to the end. Donna goes out with Vince. Baby, she got right to it, okay? And when it comes down to the B word, he says that he didn't say it like that. Like, they're saying it out of context. Now, as he's explaining, he said it like, man, that bitch thought I was about to go out with her. Nah, nigga, nah. Very much talking to his homeboys. And here's the thing, y'all. I even have a habit of doing that shit, okay? When I tell you I'm trying to remove the B word from my vocabulary because sometimes I'll be like, and this bitch, I'll be like, yo, you gotta stop that. You really gotta stop that. And I do think that is very common nowadays for us to just be saying it so freely, and it's just yo, cut that out, okay? Y'all, I'm working on it, okay? I know I said it quite a few times this episode, but by next episode review, I'm gonna be better, I promise, okay? So But when it comes to Donna, she just kind of feel like, dude, you can't be saying that. Now, here's my thing, though. Because his attitude, it was definitely giving Emily. And this is why I'm saying this, y'all. Because he basically was like, if people don't understand me, then they can kick rocks. I said, ooh, you and Emily, y'all are like the same people. Because when she got off the show, didn't she say something like, something about how like the men have lame conversation or something like that? I said, yeah, something about y'all energy, baby. Y'all the same people. No wonder y'all couldn't get along, because y'all are the same person, okay? He just a little bit more goofy and she's a bit more standoffish, okay? But he is still ready to love. I'm actually surprised. And the thing is, Donna wants to connect with him. I said, really, girl? Okay. But you know what? The way she be standing on shit, I'm like, I can see y'all having a conversation. Never mind. Dominique, she's the one who has to meet with Xavier, and she tells him that, he wasn't connected with anybody. And basically, he feels like if he don't see it for you, he's going to keep things surface level. Baby, I can't even lie, y'all. I can't even be mad at that nigga. I cannot be mad that he is choosing to keep things surface with somebody if he's not feeling them. That means, baby, I'm not interested. We can be friends. We can be cool, but I'm not about to pour into this to make it seem like me and you can be something. And I'm like, you know what? I wish more of the damn cast would do that. Across the board on Ready to Love. Stop pouring into conversations when y'all know y'all don't like the people. Stop trying to make fetch happen. Stop trying to make shit pop off when you know damn well you don't really want to be with them. Now, here's the thing. Xavier, you done been here for a cool little minute, baby. You ain't asked nobody for their number? I said, damn. That means he ain't interested in none of y'all. According to him, though, he's holding that number for only ladies that he's really interested in. I said, well, baby, you held it on too long because you are not ready to love. Baby, that was episode 4. So, y'all, I will be back on track, okay, reviewing this season. I just want y'all to let me know what y'all thought about Detroit so far. Are y'all feeling the cast? Are y'all feeling this season? Let me know in the comments. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And I will talk to y'all on my next review. Bye, guys.